Well, I have some good news for you. The Bible doesn't say anything about New Year's resolutions. So if you don't want to go to the gym this week, you don't have to. If you don't want to read through the Bible this year, you don't have to. I do think it can be helpful sometimes to have resolutions, and I've made them before to, just try to achieve different goals that I had to exercise a certain number of times per week or to lose weight or whatever. And that's great. I think really the idea behind resolutions is to make sure that time doesn't fly by without you doing the things that are important for you to do. And so we take some time, maybe at the end of a year, to think through, okay, well, what do I want to do different next year? That's probably a good thing to do, a healthy thing. I think that's fine. When we're evaluating that, we might want to think about what's important to God and not just what's important to us. Someone asked Jesus one time, what commandment is the most important of all? And Jesus said, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. And then he went on to say that the second most important commandment was to love your neighbor as yourself. So if you're thinking about what you want to do this coming year, you might want to think about those things. You might want to think about, like, what resolutions could you make that are related to your neighbors or your coworkers or your family, that you might be able to do something that's loving toward them, that would be something you wouldn't do otherwise if you didn't have some kind of resolution. So that's good to think through. I also think it's good to think through that connection with God, that the most important thing on his heart is not that you read through the Bible this coming year. It's not that you read the Bible every day. It's not that you go to church. It's not that you give money. The most important thing on God's heart is your heart. That's what he wants. That's what he wants, for you to love him with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. I used to work at restaurants, so sometimes I kind of have an eye for restaurants, and I'll watch the employees and stuff. And one time we went to a Mexican restaurant, and we were eating there, and there was this lady that was just really busy, and she was working really hard. And she kept going over and cleaning the inside of, like, the wooden trash can that the trash can goes inside of. And she was cleaning that, just really busy doing that. Now, meanwhile, there were a bunch of other tables that needed to be cleaned off. And I thought, it's just kind of fascinating. She's super hard worker. If I owned a restaurant, I would want to hire her. But she was, like, busy with the wrong things. Like, there were other things that needed to be done. Tables needed to be cleaned off. The inside of the trash bin probably needed to be cleaned once a month or once every couple months, not like every time I went in, which is kind of the pattern that I noticed. So, we want to do the same thing with God. It's like we don't want to just spend this next year busy with the things that are important to us, which probably usually relates to losing weight or earning money or something like that. And those things are fine, but the thing that's really on his heart is our heart. And so I want you to think about just entering into this new year in a new relationship with God. I think it's easy for people to go for decades and to feel like, someday I'm going to follow God. Someday I'm going to take him seriously. And I would just encourage you, make this that day, make this that year, and make a decision to enter into a meaningful relationship with Jesus and follow him and receive him and let God be your father and guide you into a new and different life. So I encourage you to make that your number one New Year's resolution.